Cold? Are you? Well, here at Good JuJu headquarters, winter sucks. That's why we stock up on Good JuJu merch. That's right, with a wide variety of lightweight tees and basic baseball hats, our selection of quality clothing is just what you need to stay warm this winter. Put the t-shirt over a long sleeve tee, hoodie, and maybe even a winter coat, and you'll be rocking your summertime gear in style all winter long. Ever wear a baseball hat over a winter hat? I have. It may not have looked cool before, but it does now with Good JuJu apparel. Find it at goodjujubets.net and nowhere else on the internet.
We can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch. Oh yeah, so easily
We
affected.
have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9, 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove it.
The 0 to 100, I think, is pretty straightforward. And then, like, the 100 and over that's when you kind of have to make a choice.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu. It's season 2.
Thank you, everybody.
Season 2, back by popular demand.
Welcome in, folks. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. We can be found on any podcast platform. Just search for Gambling with Good JuJu. You can also find us on the socials at Good JuJu Bets. Content shared daily. Hit us up and let's have some fun. Oh,
And on TikTok.
on TikTok. There we go. All right.
You on the TikToky?
You want the TikTok?
We just got on the TikToky.
Yeah. Dozens of views.
The kids are doing it.
The kids are
And
we're
since
so
we're young-
ahead of the curve.
We're young. Let's celebrate. We took 2 weeks off and the world completely changed. Big Ten football's relevant again. Juicy's Jaguars missed the playoffs and made
Boo.
Breezy happy. And I'm betting 30 plus events a day, yet watching less sports than ever before. We're going to talk the national championship game. We're going to talk NFL playoffs, and we're going to break down our latest gambling strategy, all before we talk with our guest for today, the fantastic Golden Pants 13 on Twitter. You can find GP's podcast, the Risk Takers podcast, anywhere you get them, and that's going to feature awesome informational content presented in a unique way that we don't really see right now. AKA, he's doing the informational side of podcasting better than us. So we're really excited to have talked with him, learn a little bit more about how he thinks, and hopefully pick up a couple tips for our own gambling.
I am so excited to talk to old Golden Pants.
Yeah, I totally agree. You had sent me his podcast, and I'd listened to the one episode on Not All EV is EV. We're going to talk about that with him on the podcast, but then that really took us down the rabbit hole of all of his other content.
Yeah, and he's, certainly in the middle of it now with the units situation.
Yeah, we're going to get into that as well.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that interview. We're really excited to have talked with him, and a lot of great information that came out of that. In the meantime, the national championship game just took place, guys, and I want to talk about it. Why do I want to talk about it? Because I had Alabama and Washington.
One team that didn't even make it.
Maybe I don't want to talk about it.
What a stupid game.
I am genuinely upset with everything about the Washington offense. I don't necessarily blame Michael Penix because he was injured, but no one looked good. On the offensive
What about the
side of the
Washington defense? Like, giving up 40-yard runs to the backup running back.
At the end of the
Ripping
day, that point total by Michigan was very overcomable.
Oh, totally.
And it wasn't even Michigan's defense that
Totally.
was really doing it to Washington's offense.
Wasn't that a 20-13 game going into the fourth quarter?
They had every opportunity. Yeah, the defense gave up a lot of big plays, but we knew the Washington defense wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And watching that game, the part that drove me crazy, holding that Washington ticket throughout the entire game, was they're beating themselves.
Yeah,
It was
totally.
not a matter of Michigan's defense really doing anything.
Missing
So,
wide open throws.
Oh,
I
boy.
mean, unbelievable,
That was
right?
wild.
The pass down the sideline. It's just like, that's a walk-in touchdown if they can connect.
I agree.
So, yeah, it was a disaster.
I did introduce a new gambling strategy for big games when I have an opportunity to hedge. I told you guys about that one. I want to break it down a little bit for the audience.
Okay.
So what I did was I've got a certain stake on Washington to win the national title, and I was like, man, I don't want to just hedge this. I did believe Michigan was the better team, similar to what you were putting out on Twitter.
Yeah.
I was worried about that situation. But what I ultimately decided was I'm going to take a whole bunch of juice reducing alt lines with all my promo bets with Michigan money line. So player prop overs on Michigan players and Washington players, and then combine them with Michigan money line. And then all throughout that game, all I did was cheer for all these alt player prop overs to come in. And I did the math at the end of it. So I put in $85 in cash, all on promotional offering. So I was getting better lines on everything I was doing there. And then I bumped it with another $55 in free bets. So I had a total stake of $140 here. And so at the end of it, I took a look at where I netted out, and I ended up profiting right around $75.
Woo!
Well, if
right.
I had taken that $140 and placed it on Michigan money line at minus 200,
Yeah.
I would have netted out at about the same place. So
Oh, neat wrinkle.
it was the same thing. And if any more of those had come in, now obviously there's the risk of things not hitting.
Sure,
But I
who
mean,
cares?
even here, we were playing a light scoring game with a whole lot of mistakes, and I came out just as well as playing the money line as a
Oh,
hedge.
that's fascinating. I didn't think of it from that angle. Like the whole Michigan money line angle was they were a 7-point favorite or whatever, right?
Right. I just didn't want to play a minus 200 straight hedge.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't want to ride with nothing into the national championship.
I mean, I think it's a genius idea, particularly because it's something I would do.
So now I'm
Feels like it's genius.
Welcome to the club of the juice reducers.
So now I'm
Juice
sitting
Reducer
on
t-shirts
the
coming.
49ers here for the
Oh,
NFL.
yeah, me
okay.
too. We all on the 49ers,
Super Bowl.
right? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So we're squad riding 49ers, and I'm thinking if they make the Super Bowl, this is my new hedge strategy for everything. I don't even know if I want to hedge 49ers, so
Yeah.
let's get into that. Do you guys have anything?
I hope,
real quick,
I
real
hope
quick.
not, because I'd like to come over and watch the Super Bowl at your Super Bowl party. I haven't decided whether I'm going to come or not. If
Oh,
the
really?
Niners make the Super Bowl.
Oh, you're going to do that again?
Yeah.
Where you debate
this old
not
song and
coming.
dance.
I mean, okay, you can sit in your hole by yourself and watch it in the dark. That's fine.
Maybe we should just come live stream. and
Maybe you
watching it.
shouldn't be such a coward in life.
Pete, I am.
Get out. Let's do it.
I have the Niners haven't won a game at your house yet.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Why would I come over?
Well, that means they're
Well,
due.
now we've got the edge.
They're due.
Kurt, would you rather have the 49ers win the Super Bowl, or would you rather come over, we pull all our money, and we hammer the other side?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
You found the edge. If you come to my house, all we
They'll
have to do
lose.
is bet against the 49ers.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
What's more important to you?
winning the Super Bowl.
All right. That's
Jelly
fair.
looks really scared right now. He
Yeah,
doesn't know
he's
how to,
like,
he doesn't know how to
no.
compute this. I don't know how to compute this. We are goofy.
Are you coming over for the Super Bowl if the 49ers are in?
You know what?
I think he wants a commitment right now.
If the 49ers, I will come over for the Super Bowl. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl and you allow me to set off 6 boom booms in the street.
Yes, I will allow that.
Moving on.
I'll wait for confirmation from Christy.
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. You know who you have to talk to on that one.
Boy.
All right, let's get into the NFL playoffs then,
Okay.
real quick here before we get to GP. On the NFL playoffs, we're all sitting on San Francisco 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else in particular we are interested in? From a fun gambling perspective for the NFL playoffs, any angles, anything I should be considering? What are we thinking here, boys?
I mean, the weather is going to be crazy this week. I'm looking at a lot of. I'm going to be betting a lot of props this weekend. Cold weather. I do have Buffalo Bills and the Niners to meet in the Super Bowl with the Niners winning for plus 6,000. That's one of my big tickets.
You have a ticket on that? That's
I do.
awesome.
When did you get that?
I placed it, I think, back in March.
So that is not an available line.
No, I think it's down to like plus 900 or plus 700 or something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, would this be your biggest win of your gambling career?
No.
You hit this
no,
single
no,
bet?
no.
You've had a bigger single bet than a plus 6,000?
I haven't hit a plus 6,000, but the amount's not that much.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
put like a $10 free bet on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
It is fun.
I got nothing. I'm just kind of pulling for the Lions. The Lions are in it still, right?
We are pulling for
You're
the
pulling
Lions.
for the
You're pulling for a
Lions?
division team.
I mean, I don't know.
When you have a $500 ticket on the Niners,
Not over the Niners, just in general, though. Like, I wouldn't mind them winning a game. Do they play the?
I'll allow
do
it.
they play the Niners? Who's playing in the playoffs?
They're in the same
you don't even
conference.
know who's playing this weekend, do you?
No idea.
Wow.
He's definitely well prepared.
He's checked out after week 17, I think.
Well, 18 was fun.
Okay, week 18.
Yeah. Bears
Okay.
aren't in it.
That's all right. That's fine. All right. So moving through then to the NFL playoffs, what we're doing is we're just basically cheering for your 49ers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what we're going to ride with. I'm all in on the 49ers. You can come to my house and I will lie to you today and tell you can set off fireworks. And then if they win the Super Bowl, you will definitely be hammered enough that I can just hide that bag and you won't be able to do anything about it.
I will be hammered.
Oh, that'll be
So,
so
yeah.
fun.
So there you go. Kurt has confirmed he will be at the Super Bowl party at my house this year, even if the
And you confirmed you're going to have it.
49ers are in. Well, yeah, don't tell everyone that was there last time, though.
What happened?
No,
We're not gonna go
going
into
down that path.
Personal details.
All right, before we let you guys go to get to GP here, RJ, we have gotten into a completely new gambling strategy. These days, we are almost exclusively EV betting. We're using the Odd Shopper tool. You are committed to a goal of a $100,000 bankroll. You've gone public with this now on the socials. Why don't you break down for us a very high level what your strategy is, or whatever, however you want to.
Yeah.
address
What
this.
are we gonna call this? Right. So, basically, we're all kind of doing this now, tops down, looking at the market, interpreting the inefficiencies, and firing a crap ton of bets every day. Right.
Yes, sir.
And it is working.
And it is working. 100 days in for me.
You're at 100 days. I'm at 1 week, and I'm already convinced.
It's pretty intoxicating, isn't it?
It is amazing. So what goes into this, real quick, for the audience?
Well, yeah. So we're using like a odd screener board, right? And we are all pretty much just playing player props using the strategy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And basically, they're a little illiquid, right? So it's pretty easy to find an inefficiency quickly compared to the sharp books. Sharp books.
So if we want to think about the world of gambling, the way the books kind of see it, there are books that set the lines, and then there are books that try to keep up with the books that set the lines. So you've got this little game of cat and mouse all day long with all these different markets where these books who are inefficient in terms of their pricing are trying to quickly keep up with the books who are very efficient with their pricing.
And taking more action.
And taking more action.
Right.
So you look to identify where are these plays still available on these less sharp books, and if you get down enough volume on it, I mean, the pure methodology of working with large data sets virtually guarantees it as long as you have stable information.
Right.
And these books, with their billion-dollar proprietary models and all their various means of getting the information they get, have become very efficient.
And all the people betting into them.
And all the
what
people
makes it
betting
efficient,
into them.
right? Yeah.
So we are simply picking off as many as we can, as many times a day, and that's been our strategy, and it has proven to be very effective.
Seems a little too good to be true at first, right? And then it's like, small sample size, you lose 5 in a row or something, and it's a little scary. But then you get to the large numbers, and it's like, yeah, this is sound.
As long as you've got the volume there, you will see the returns coming in. So we're really excited to get into all that. We're going to talk more about that with GP coming up here, as well as just picking his brain on the various ways that he gambles and how he finds edges in the marketplace. So everyone stay tuned for that. Hope you have a great show. Great rest of your week. Good juju to your bets, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.
Thanks, Christy, for letting me set off big boom booms.
All right, we welcome into the show Golden Pants. I'm going to call you GP for short, host of the Risk Takers podcast. You can find him at Golden Pants 13 on Twitter. He's an overall successful sports gambler, and we've become big fans of him. How are you doing today, bud?
Awesome. Thank you. That's super kind of you. I'm doing great. I'm excited. When we were chatting just before, to finally be a guest on a podcast. I've done some hosting. So
Is this your first? Is this your first guest spot?
I did a video podcast with Juan. If you know Juan.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Juan's
Yeah. Of course. I've
Universe.
seen that. Yeah.
That
He's
was
awesome.
like that was a while ago. But yeah, this is my first like audio guest podcast and my second podcast ever.
Oh, well, thanks
Fantastic.
for coming on and joining us. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be upfront with you. You are the first guest we've interviewed who is an anonymous individual on the interwebs. So we were talking through that ourselves, and we are like, okay, so we're going to refer to him as GP. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's all right. We're going to get there. So on our end of things, it's kind of interesting to be doing this as well.
I bet it's weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, look, I think eventually I'll be public with my name. It just hasn't had to happen yet. And you know, I've been gambling for a while, and I think that a lot of people in the space try to stay anonymous, and now I've kind of taken the exact opposite route. So I assume eventually I'll just have my name out there, but I don't know. I'm just kind of like kicking that can down the road.
No, I completely get it. So let's do a quick vibe check then, if we could.
Vibe check.
All right, let's do it.
As far as your background and your interests, who are you following? Who are your sports teams? Let's start there.
Who are my sports teams? So I have a weird stack. My dad is a Washington Commanders fan. So he grew up in DC, grew up in South Carolina and DC. And I just became a Washington football fan, which is terrible. Like anyone my age, it's just like, it's like one of the worst teams. It's like Washington and the Jets. It just doesn't get any
Excuse
worse.
me, you're talking to 3 Bears fans.
Two
Bears fans. No, he doesn't get to be a part of this. 2 Bears fans. We are 40 years old, and we've never had a franchise quarterback. So
That's true. That's true. We did briefly have Kirk Cousins.
Right.
He was a franchise quarterback because we kept franchise tagging him.
okay. We've got an expert on the show, Kirk Cousins or Jay Cutler. I mean, it's Kirk Cousins all the way.
I would say so.
Oh, much better.
We've decided Jay Cutler is our best quarterback of our lives.
That's pretty bad. Actually, okay, that's fair. That's pretty bad.
So, I mean, it's him or
That's
Harbaugh,
pretty
right? Or, I mean, McMahon. Sorry.
McMahon.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't remember McMahon. I was a baby.
Right, we were babies.
So, anyway.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, Washington. And then I went to a small liberal arts school, so I didn't have like a college team. But my mom went to Penn State, so I followed Penn State. Like I'd say loosely, but growing up, we were pretty all in on Penn State because her family is all lived there, from there, still lives there, and she was like the one that moved away from Pennsylvania. So they were more successful. I enjoyed following. There's some brief hope with like Saquon and Trace McSorley. They were really good, but yeah, besides that, I don't know. I started following golf pretty young, so I was a big Tiger and Phil fan, and I'd say most of my sports watching was golf, even from a young age.
Wow.
So are you a Nationals fan as well?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't really follow baseball. And the Nationals, they were a newer team,
right?
But yeah, they've had success. I wish I was.
It's not too late.
Don't ask this guy. This guy has no interest in baseball.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it then, bud. So we're neck deep at this point, kind of into the EV betting scene ourselves. And then you come out with this episode about not all the EV is EV. And I thought it was a great episode. And just to kind of break it down a little bit more for the audience, you really talked about how there's advantage betting from an EV sense, but then if you're going to maximize potential ROI and long-term gains, there are other avenues to consider. You were talking about Kelly criteria. You were talking about originating plays. You're talking about finding edges and then betting into those edges with more confidence than others. For me, as a casual recreational bettor who's kind of come across this EV betting and has found it to be extremely successful and done wonderful things for my overall sports gambling, I'm not going to have sort of the time and the access to originate or to, take part in applying a greater sense of confidence to plays than what's already being given to me. Does that make sense to you?
Totally.
So
I think that's fair.
So what I'm what I'm kind of trying to take away from that conversation, one, it was very educational in terms of how sharp bettors are thinking, right? But then I sit back and I'm also wondering, as a follow-up to that, what are some of the things we can be thinking about who, we're just trying to click buttons as fast as we can throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? While we're mixing it in with the rest of our lives that's going on around us. Do you have any tips or advice for us to be able to hopefully increase our gains in terms of those ROI conversations without having to invest almost an entire new form of research into the equation?
Yeah, definitely. I think originating is something that is probably inaccessible to a lot of people who don't have a ton of time. So I hear you. And that episode and some of my other episodes, I think one thing that I really try and focus on is talking about like how you can always make little improvements. There's always something that you can do to improve your earn. So if I hear, what you're saying, I'm thinking like time, both how am I saving time and how am I setting aside the most valuable time? Like, have I defined what the most valuable hour in my day is for getting bets in?
Exactly.
And that's, EV or whatever. Like, I don't really love the term EV, even though I came from a poker background, because I think it narrows the discussion. But what we're trying to do is make money, right? So like, if we look at it through the lens of making money and having it fit in with our life, are we taking the best steps to do that? So I think when you start to look at it that way, you find little areas like, what's the best time? How am I saving time? Like, you might want to join, you might not even want to be on an odd screen, and you might just want to join like a Discord that sends you slips. And that might be time efficient if it's a good Discord, right? And if you don't care about originating, then, you don't have to originate, or you don't have to try, because that'll take a really long time and it might not return value for months.
So basically what you're getting at is that there's going to be a different system for everyone that's going to be not only right for them in terms of the time that's available to them, but also in terms of then maximizing that time. I feel like with the tools that we're using today, in terms of from like an odd screener perspective, it's been highly productive and highly successful for us. So it's not so much that we're not able to keep up with it. It's more of, I'm looking for something to, boost the edge almost further.
Yeah. Beyond.
That isn't necessarily going to take me down the path of starting from ground one. And it might not be there. It may be that this is where we're at and that we probably are close to maximizing the efficiency of the tool. But I believe you when you say there's still, I don't know if it's Yeah. I don't know if it's the interpretation of the sharp books and how we're interpreting them relative to the square books, or
That's interesting.
what it might be. I don't know if you can follow up on that.
Well, I was just going to say, it's interesting how you brought up the time situation. I think when I first brought up this idea of what I was going to try to do, like, I think the first thought out of you was, you're going to spend all day doing this, bud? And I was like, well, I am going to track my time eventually. And so I think getting more efficient in the tool, like, inherently, like, increases your EV because you're spending less time doing it, right? And I never really considered that until I actually went back and listened to your first couple of episodes again today.
Oh, thank you. Can I ask you about your process? So it seems like you're using an odd screen, right?
Right. So here's I believe that my ROI is coming in lower than his ROI and his ROI, because they both work office desk jobs that allow them literally take microseconds at any point during any day and constantly be doing that. I live in a slightly different world where I almost have to kind of chunk out a little bit more time, where it's like, okay, I got a half hour here. I'm going to go on the odd screener and I'm going to pull, which means I know I'm catching staler lines and I'm not always catching the lines that are moving fast. So what I'm trying to uncover through that, are there other ways within the odd screener, given that limitation, that I can look to uncover value? And that's what I'm kind of trying to work through in my brain like even as we're talking right now. Does that make sense?
Totally. Can I ask what odds screen you use, and are you doing a more DVIG or steam chasing process?
Steam chasing, odd shopper. Essentially, I've got the odd shopper tool up on one monitor.
Okay.
And I've got that open. And we do more than just straight looking at the line. So I'm essentially looking at their higher end plus EV plays, but then I'm checking the square books against Pinnacle, FanDuel, Caesars, and I'm looking. And it's kind of like he talks about with the waterfall. You kind of want to see squarer to sharper as you go along that curve. And you're going to catch them quickly. Some are going to remain stale. Long term, you're going to suck out certain amounts of EV. But I know I'm not getting quite to where I'd like to be with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I use Spank Odds for a screen.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar with Odd Shopper, but one thing that I would make sure is I would make sure that you're truly maximizing like your outs as well. Now that doesn't mean like you have to have betting partners, but you want to make sure that you have money everywhere and you are quick to not just main markets but alt markets. And I don't know like what alt markets you're looking at, what second half, first half, but and what Odd Shopper has. Like I actually have never used Odd Shopper.
Yeah.
But my advice of just using an odd screen, there is going to be like a peak, and it's not. I'm not at it. There's people who are better at odd screens than me. I don't know what books also are shown on Odd Shopper on Spank Odds. There's a lot of like offshore PPH books, and those often tip a move before any of the sharp or legals go. So you might be missing certain moves that are getting tipped offshore, getting tipped on the PPH market before they even hit the sharp books. And again, don't know Odd Shopper, but I think if you're really trying to steam chase, you probably want to have Spank Odds or Don Best.
Yeah.
So it might be a software. It might be a software situation.
Yeah. The other thing. Oh, go ahead, Curtis.
Well, what I was going to say about Odd Shopper is one of the things I don't like about it is no outlines.
Yeah.
No outlines, which is I mean NFL. Well, I mean any sport off outlines really is a good way to hit them, right? Yeah. So that's one thing I don't like about Odd Shopper, and I know Odds Jam has outlines, but
sure. And I think one thing left out of the process conversation, we are primarily using this process on player props right now.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. That's definitely okay. Well, if you get something like Spank Odds, and you're welcome, Spanky, for
shout out Spanky,
and just shout out Spanky. You're welcome for plugging you on this, but you catch you can catch like good mainline moves on Spank Odds, so that'll help you get down on bigger size, right? So it's like if you catch a mainline like a spread on an NBA game before it moves, you're going to be able to get down a couple thousand. So there's more scalability if you go outside of player props onto the main lines, onto the money lines, onto the totals. So that could be an area there.
Do you have preferred markets you like to attack?
For me, it's golf. I sat down and did some steam chasing, but mainly what I do is monitor golf markets, model golf, and bet golf. So all my preferred markets are in golf. But for when I was sitting behind the screen, I really liked like hockey money lines. I thought I got some good value on those. And then college basketball. Everyone says college basketball. Like all the sharp like millionaire sports bettors I know are in the college basketball market. So there must be something there.
How are you carving up the golf markets? Do you stick to two-way lines? Do you play one ways? What's your strategy?
One ways would be like the outrights.
To win and
stuff. Yeah. I mean, not a ton of outrights, not a ton of to wins. Of course, like some, definitely doing more two ways, So like if I were to go back through my spreadsheet from last year, it'd be 80% of volumes on matchups, head-to-heads, tournament matchups, all that. And then there's golf props. I think with the sites like Prize Picks and Underdog, they kind of pushed into like the stroke markets became a thing. So over under on strokes. So kind of whatever is bettable. But yeah, mostly staying away from the outrights, not for any reason besides they often don't show a ton of value.
Yeah.
But yeah, get a couple down.
They're fun.
They're fun.
They're fun. You know,
They're
you want to
fun.
say it. They're fun. We all know it. Do
Yeah.
I want to bet a bunch of golfers to do bad every Thursday?
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
I do. I want to
Yes.
make money. I want to make money here, bud. So of course
Yeah,
I do.
you saw you got the
Yeah.
plays for this Thursday.
12
It's all
overs.
golfers to do bad. Yeah,
And I
always
can't
say,
wait.
Like, if the wind starts blowing, like the money's flowing.
Put that on a t-shirt.
We'll co-brand it with you, bud. Don't worry about
I
it.
love that. Yeah. So real quick, like, so just about the golf, like you have an edge, you have a perceived edge, you have a model, like you're kind of dabbling in all of this, like just from being around golf for so long.
Yeah, so it was the first. So actually, how I got into sports betting was I was asked. So I first was helping out with my friends who were doing traditional DFS. Kind of, they backed me in poker, and then they got into the DFS space, and I was doing like what I would call a little more like admin work for them for a little bit, just to see what it was about, because they were kind of learning the ropes from somebody, and then I was trying to learn the ropes from them because I was interested in the space. And eventually, like, I was very interested in golf. I not necessarily like any incredibly strong math background, but I had learned some stuff through poker. And I just started dabbling in like trying to build an Excel model for golf, trying to like do some type of linear regression to understand, this is all very basic and not super sharp. But I was just diving into trying to spit something out, like who's going to win this tournament,
Yeah.
And they started being a little more interested in it, and they kind of let me run with building a golf model. And they were, let's see, I'm trying to think. This was like just pre-COVID, but yeah, it got better and better. And then Data Golf came around. If you know Data Golf at all,
That
they're
doesn't
like
mean anything to me.
Yeah,
You're into that?
I've bet Data Golf.
Yeah.
Okay. So Data, basically, like, I felt like we had arrived at something solid, and Data Golf was probably like the iteration before I think they became good or like bettable. And then Data Golf became like, took a huge step up, and I was like, oh, this is kind of, my model is like kind of useless. And they were kind of getting more interested in poker and whatnot. So I was like, okay, like let's just, whatever, we'll call it, you're playing poker. But I had always like stuck with golf and had always been thinking about it and modeling it, or like thinking about modeling it, thinking about edges, following the markets, following Data Golf, seeing what their model was about. Yeah, like a year later, I teamed up with a buddy of mine from high school who was a Canadian interest rate trader, but he was we had like played cards back in high school and gambled. And we were like, hey, like, I was like, sports betting had just legalized in the US, and I was like, hey, like, I kind of want to take another crack at this. Like, would you want to kind of pool our bankroll and take an attack, bet some golf, because we're both very interested in golf. And he said, yeah. So we just started right when betting legalized, which was 2020. Yeah. I think we had started end of 21. And anyway, yeah. So we like pooled our funds, started LLC, and kind of just been doing it since then. And it's gone better than we could have hoped. And we've been improving along the way, and just like kind of sticking niche with our niche. And I think that's something I talk a lot about, is like find your niche, because sports books are like pretty good, but they're not great. And the way to beat them is just, in my opinion, is focus really, really hard on one thing where they can't really do that. So we've just kind of stayed the course on just focusing and getting better at golf.
Now, GP, since we've moved on to golf, I watched your video last night with Elf.
Elf.
Yeah. And I reliving bad memories isn't good, but I got I got to hear more of this story because I know he's followed the Twitter feed. He hasn't seen the video. I watched the video. It's a great video, by the way, and it's a fascinating story. But I think it's a good video because it spreads awareness of kind of some of the shady things that are going on.
So we're talking about
in the industry.
Units here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The unit situation. Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. The floor's all yours. I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear how this came about. What exactly happened?
Crazy. So yeah, the unit situation is obviously like a bad situation. It was last week was the first golf tournament of 2024. So whenever anybody's listening to this, last week was the first tournament. Units is a new site that's like Prize Picks or Underdog when you pick like over under. And you have to parlay player props. So it's like a fake DFS app that's actually a sports book. And yeah, so I get told by someone in my Discord on Saturday morning, like, hey, Units is doing golf. And they let you parlay the same side. And I was like, oh, that's great. So in golf, basically, a course will play hard or play easy. So if one player goes over their strokes line, it's very likely that the other few players will go over. So strokes are very correlated with each other. And DFS apps have lost money to this, correlating golf before. Underdog lost a bunch of money at the British Open. So did Prize Picks. It's kind of the worst, like I said, the worst kept secret in the space. And so I'm like, wow, great. They allow that. Let me just check it out. So I literally Saturday morning before golf, sit down. It's only on the phone. Sit down on my couch, download it, and I was like, "Wow, these lines are way too low." Because we already had a lean that it was going to play harder than what the books thought, and Units had the course whatever their pricing had the course playing easier than the sports books, and so we were way off Units. So we're like, okay, like I'm just gonna sit here and parlay overs. So I just sat there, deposited 1,000, parlayed a bunch of $50 ticket overs with different golfers. So over strokes, 5 golfers, didn't really matter. They were, honestly, it didn't matter which ones. So then I'm like, oh, well, I should just deposit another $1,000, right? So I do it again. and then I'm like, I should just deposit another $1,000. So I do the next, and then it's like declined. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And I just leave it. And the course plays really, really hard. The wind blows in every single prop on their board hits the same direction. So I hit every single parlay. So 2,000 to 37,000 is what it is. And, I hear from like Drew Morgan, who you might follow on Twitter. He was a guest on my podcast, and he's like, oh, I hit like Units. And I was like, I was on Units. And he was like, you're on Units. We're trying not to tell anybody about that, like me and Halo. And I was like, yeah, someone in my Discord told me about it. And then I hear from like, Shiesty comes into my Discord. He's like, hey, anybody like get their Units? Plays cash. I was like, you knew about that? So I'm like, now Shiesty knows about it. And like his friends probably knew about it. So I'm like, I don't know. So I take a video of all of my entries because they haven't been paid out at like 10 p.m. or something, and I'm like hearing people have won also. I'm like, oh man, I don't know, I'm just gonna take a video of this because I've been doing this for a long time and something doesn't feel right. Take the video, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, lock down my account. So this is an account that this is $37,000,
right?
And I'm like, god damn it.
It's so sweet, and then it's like that's the reality you get hit with.
Did they pay out the tickets before locking your account?
No.
So you never had the like if those had hit your account, would you have withdrawn immediately?
Immediately.
Okay. Wow.
With the info I had, basically like hearing that other people had hit, that's. But yeah, they definitely wouldn't let me take out 37,000 at once. A lot of these apps like have very low ceilings for withdrawals.
Right.
And geez, someone tweeted it. Someone was like, "GP, like you shouldn't have been into like such a small spot for 37,000." I'm like, well, I didn't know I was gonna hit every parlay.
You weren't in for the 37. You were in for the 2.
Right.
I was like, next time I'll try to win fewer parlays, but I think the same thing would have happened.
Yeah. So what's the status right now? Yeah. Like you're locked out And
still locked out. We still haven't heard from him. I mean, so like every update I've gotten is basically bad.
Yeah.
I hear they've stiffed their vendors, which
Oh no.
oh no.
yeah, they're basically bad. They've locked out people who won the next day on football. It's people who hadn't won on golf. So who came in and won the next, I think, a couple thousand. Basically, it seems like if you win a couple thousand, they just lock you out.
Yeah.
And I've heard some conjecture on whether they even have a payment processor and if the funds are just going into a founder's bank account.
Like FTX style.
Yes.
So we're literally talking about a Sam Bankman-Fried
Yes.
situation here.
Interesting.
Sam Bankman-Fried is actually, Tori Korsunsky or something.
That's the guy's name.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the guy's name. And then they haven't, responded to me at all. Obviously, I think I've been pretty vocal. I'm probably their current least favorite person. But I know I get a lot of info. I've been very vocal, so people give me a lot of info. I know that the Twitter account is still active in DMing people and encouraging them to play on the site. They are still taking bets.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's totally, it's absolutely.
JuJu.
I've in my mind kissed the 37 grand goodbye.
Yeah.
But something just pissed me off when I saw them just open for business the next day, that they're bankrupt. It's just.
Okay.
Well, and they're going to keep your $2,000 too, right?
Oh yeah. That's
keep
true.
all of it.
So a funny thing. So I had a friend on Twitter, Metro Mike, who was on my podcast.
Yeah.
He bets golf, and after all the bets hit, I think he had played some overs on like FanDuel, and I was like, "Oh, were you on units?" And he was like, "God damn, no, I was out of state." And then the next morning, I go, "Dude, you might have won more money on units than me."
Oh man.
Because he won $0. I probably lost $2,000.
Well, but you've run across a lot of these different types of sweepstakes books that operate in a similar way. Long term, I mean, they seem to be like a risky endeavor for getting your money into.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm taking your question here, but like,
it's like. How long is this going to go on, right? Like just speculation here. I mean, I'm kind of always around saying, well, they're not a sports book, right? Whenever we like griping about their terms or whatever, right? But yeah, like future state of the industry, like somebody's got to step in, right?
So that's another interesting question. So I see two things. One is somebody's got to step in. I think there's this weird silence that goes on because if you're owed money, you don't want to cause a shitstorm because you probably won't get paid. If you're another operator in the space, you don't really want to sling mud, which is what I've heard from operators. So like, I do think that, so I'm talking about like Thrive Fantasy, for example, is totally operating as a Ponzi scheme. And that's gone on for a year. And it's like crazy to me that can happen.
Right.
So I think that there's, I don't know, it is kind of disconcerting to see how unsafe some of these books are. And then like I think that some people it's hard to tell to a casual that Underdog is different, and I talk to, I have friends at Underdog. I think it's a great site. I think they try and do a good job. I assume they're liquid because they raise like $60 million or something. But like when Thrive Fantasy happens, when units happen, like the sites that try and do a good job get hurt too. Yeah. So I think one thing that I've thought about a lot, and I was someone who used to like prize picks all the time. It's like literally how my Discord started. But looking back, I like have thrown prize picks a bone or two in the past couple of days because I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I don't agree with everything, but
at least you pay.
At least you pay. Like there's got to be a line in the sand that we draw, like the bookies that pay and then the bettors, and then we keep the rest out. Like the base, both like the gamblers who like roll people and do shady stuff and the books that do that, like we have to draw a line like the payers and the non-payers. Yeah. And the non-payers are just out in 2024. That's what we need to do.
You saw the DGen Boost post yesterday, right?
I love that.
That was so awesome. Did you guys see that?
He is so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we talking about the chart?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
That was such a good
probably
buzz.
will steal from you, have stolen
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah,
Bottom,
exactly,
bottom
but-
tier is just Zen Sports.
Zen, and then it was just Zen Sports. It was its own tier. That was so funny.
Yeah, he crushed
Dude,
the
that
internet with
account
that one.
is one of the absolute funniest accounts. I saw you had him on too.
Yeah, we're a huge fan of his.
Yeah, he's awesome. That was a great poster. I retweeted it and then got a lot of questions about my thoughts on Fliff, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, damn it. Like, I don't even, I think they're operating on the knife's edge of the law, but,
Right.
I think they're liquid. So I guess that's fair.
Is there anything happening right now from a legal perspective with regards to these types of shady areas that you're aware of? Or even you? I don't know.
No.
I mean, I feel like, we wrote the laws and they were like, okay, you guys, DFS is cool, right? First. And then it was like, okay, sports books
Right.
are cool. So now like all these people just showed up like, no, it's a DFS thing. We can operate in any state. And like, nobody showed up and be like, no, you really can't, right?
There's nothing stopping anybody from opening one of these sites, right? And putting up square lines, right? And getting everybody, getting the word out. Hey, everybody, check out the lines.
Deposit
yeah,
bonus,
yeah.
let's go. Yeah.
Yep, deposit
Dude,
all your money,
exactly.
and then you don't get it. Then you don't
Boom.
see a penny.
That literally sounds like what's happening with
Yeah.
units
No,
right now.
I'm thinking like, am I the sucker?
Right.
I was like, wow, look at this.
Right.
These people are idiots.
There's
And
not
it's
even
like,
there's not even a group
Yeah,
of traders, bud. It's just a
Yeah,
dude
yeah.
on the other end. He's
That
like,
dude.
what's gonna
Just like-
get people to bet into
he's just
this?
thinking
Right.
like, wow, I just got
He's-
Tori's like, I just got $2,000 from this guy. Let's go.
Let's go.
Someone went on
We're
and
going
bet.
out on the town.
Someone went on there and bet under parlays, and he was just on the other end of that screen, just laughing at them.
Yeah, he's like,
But
yeah,
to
dude,
your-
that's what it is. Like, I could just be the sucker. Like,
Yeah.
the whole intent of the app could have not been to pay anyone. Like, I really don't. I don't know.
Well, yeah. And like, eventually there needs to be like a players coalition or something, right? Like some type of agency that's like not going to stand for this as a whole.
Yeah.
Like his chart yesterday, like basically sums up the need for that. And like, I'm not like a more regulation dude usually, but
Okay. I don't know. Let's not go down that path.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. What do you want to talk about? Here?
Politics.
There's
Second
like,
yeah, right.
there's 4 things here. What do you want to talk about?
All right. One more thing. All right. So, Breezy here was the last holdout on doing this whole top-down approach. So we finally got him involved.
Okay.
So for the last couple of years in our text thread, the thread has kind of been like, oh, who are we tailing? Who's on what, right? Now, more recently, since we're all doing this now, I am the most optimistic about the success we're going to have
Okay.
after like a little bit of a large sample size. And I'm also the most concerned about preserving my outs.
Interesting.
I am lockstep with you. I don't know why you would assume that.
So
Anyways,
which part?
go on.
The
Finish the
success.
question.
So I guess with the amount of time you've had in the space and the success you've had, am I crazy in preserving the rest of my outs I still have? And how should we be thinking about this? I guess as far as being limited, et cetera.
So I think that depends. So I think one thing that is really good, if you listen to like some of the blackjack guys and gals like Colin Jones, RX Gamble, it's like they'll go to casinos and everyone's so worried about cover. What are the cover plays? We're gonna leak some EV because we'll stand this 16 instead of hit it, which is fine, and that's all fine. But then you start like doing a couple too many cover, and then all of a sudden you're like minus EV, or like you're so tiny plus EV that your swings are massive, and it's just like not a fun life. So I generally think that's good advice. Where I don't think it's good advice is like if you have a specific reason for preserving outs. So that would be if there's just it's an opportunity cost thing. So we wouldn't go bet a bet that pops up to the top of an odds screen on an account that we know is going to give us like certain golf bets that are going to be massively plus EV at a future date. But, if that book doesn't have golf and all I have is this odds screen in this book and I'm in like a new state grinding for like a bonus or something, then I might just hit it to play it. So I think it all depends on like why if you have a good reason to preserve outs, then it's fine. I think there's always things you can do to increase account longevity, regardless of if you have a Y or not. But I do think like I urge most people to not think so much about preserving outs and just like go get the money, because I do think sometimes people take it too far and just like become break even or minus EV.
That's a great point, because I remember your conversation with Elf, and he was talking about getting limited himself, or the books like catching on to what he's doing with the live arbing 30 grand a night. And his reasoning was basically, even though I'm betting all this money every night, right, and I'm hitting all these plays, I'm still one of the smallest fish in the pond.
Definitely.
And so I think that is super important.
Yeah. It's a good perspective.
Yeah.
I agree. And like the reality of it also is like, you're going to get limited at Bet365. You're going to get limited at BetMGM. Like, are there things that you can do? Yeah. You know, I would always recommend, if you can, parlay 2+ EV bets together. Like, I highly recommend parlays for account longevity. But even if you do like everything right, if you're, you know, Ed Miller talks a lot about in his book Interception of what to do to kind of get a little extra juice out of your account. There's a Twitter account called Mr. Limited at Pennywise.
We love him. We love Mr. Limited.
Awesome. Love that guy. He has a whole thread on things you can do to keep account health. I would go read that, and whatever he says, I would apply it. But like, there is this reality that you will get limited by these soft books.
Yeah.
The day will come, and like there will be a time when you might just have Caesars, FanDuel, and you know, Circa, if you're lucky enough to have it in your state, and you know, maybe Bet Online for an offshore or something. And then what do you do from there?
And deal with it
that's
then.
When you that's when maybe you have to go get betting partners, or you're trying to, you know, beat the sharp books. I think that's when you have to start kind of, I always say that there's kind of this road that's like 0 to 100,000 in sports betting profits. It might not be exactly that, but like if you live in a good state with a lot of options, and it's like now where there's a lot of bonus money flowing in, you could get 0 to 100 with your accounts, the right software, and a ton of hard work.
Yeah. Once
you get to 100, I think then you need to start doing weird, different things. So that's like developing your own software, using betting partners. You know, you're going to have to be either making like your own type of odds screen for a market that doesn't have an odds screen, making, you know, modeling, originating, making a lot of connections with people who like share information with you, whatever it is. But the 0 to 100, I think, is pretty straightforward. And then like the 100 and over that's when you kind of have to make a choice. Am I really doing this? Or am I kind of doing this part-time, get the easy money, maybe, you know, play the limited books I have left, but like know that it won't scale after that. And I think that's kind of like, in my mind, that's the big divide.
Yeah, it's awesome. We'll have you on next January, and we'll figure out if we get to 100K.
That's why. So that's one of the themes of this season of Gambling with Good JuJu is Juice is trying to take it from 25 to 100 in 1 year. So
I believe he'll do it.
That's what I've said. And now you don't even have to worry about all the other stuff
I think
you've been stressing about.
Yeah, I think Mr. Limited's Twitter thread, I think I read the whole thread or the whole account in one day, and it like totally spun me out on the limited thing.
Yeah. It almost was too much. You're like,
it's like, how will I keep them open?
Look, my bankroll right now is I'm just getting started on this. So my bankroll is way south of his. And I was laying in bed last night after almost like a week of it going, what am I going to do to keep this going? Because they're going to be on to me right away. But everyone else seems to be like, nah, you got some runway here. You're going to be all right.
I have no concerns at all. I'm the one that has no concerns.
Yeah, we've also been square bettors for years.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's really helpful, actually.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. I'm sure that you've heard this, but having an old account that used to have square action is one of the best possible things.
Yeah, we've got a few years of that. I'm also the only person that's been limited, apparently, on any sports books out of the three of us, so maybe that's why I'm worried about it.
I've been limited on points bet.
Yeah.
Only for
points bet.
college basketball
Oh,
markets.
yeah. College basketball is sharp.
Yeah. All right.
Points bets, they're tough. They're tough.
I got to ask this. GP, what's a nuke party?
Nuke party. What is it?
Nuke party. Yeah, that's how did it even start? It was on my Discord when it just started. There's a couple of us who picked different sports. So I was doing golf. We have a guy doing like baseball and soccer. I forget at the time, probably a couple others. And everybody's like, we want, everybody, experts. All the experts to pick one pick from their sport, throw it all into, a prize pick slip, which happens on Friday, where it's like Flex Friday, and they basically give you a free bet on a six pick slip, and like we'll all play it, we'll all tailor it as a Discord. And for the first couple of weeks, I was like, that sounds like a lot to put together. Like, you have to like wake everybody up, but eventually, like people were just like, we gotta do this. I was like, okay, great. Like let's try and do it this Friday. So we did it. I think like all of us put together, tossed out a pick or two, and a couple of weeks went by and we had maybe like hit 5 or 6 or something, which you get something for.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have this sweat for 6-6 live this one Friday. And it was like Jason Tatum needed to get one more rebound.
Oh no.
FanDuel wizard.
And we're all watching this game, glued to it. I think I threw it up like on stream in the Discord. And it absolute garbage time, last shot of the game, someone like pulls up, jacks a jumper, dings the rim, Jason Tatum catches it, game ends. The place explodes. It got so out of line in there. Like the memes, it was just absolute chaos.
Love it.
We hit the 6 of 6. Here's the really wild part. This is a 6-leg parlay, right? So it's like not supposed to hit. Next week we come back and we have another sweat. 5 of 6 going into this like 10 p.m. hockey game, and we're fading this guy to get like 3 hits. We have to have him get under like 2.5 hits. So we throw it up and we're all watching. Who's that? Did he hit somebody? Like, if this guy checked somebody or not. But we're spending this whole game just watching this one player go around the ice and make sure he doesn't make contact with anybody else. We're like, oh, that's not hit. Whatever. He ends under. We hit 2 back-to-back. And it was like my favorite, honestly, my favorite gambling moment. And at the time, I mean, I made, I max each one for that. So like 400 to win 10K. So it was a huge hit. Almost a units level hit if you put both together. But
they paid out.
But Prize Picks paid out. Yeah, exactly.
Shout out Prize Picks.
Shout out Prize Picks. Now looking back, I realized, thank you, Prize Picks. Thank you. But yeah, like big hit. But like the experience of just like hitting it with everybody. It was my favorite. I still say, like, I still talk about that, like my favorite moment of my gambling career, and it's like been a long gambling career for me. So like that's it really sticks out to me. And of course we haven't hit one since, but like the back-to-back nukes like live in infamy in the Discord, and like it's kind of sparked the whole like Friday nuke thing. So we do it like a nuke party on Friday. We announce the picks, and I try and get on a stream on Friday if I can, especially if golf's on, to like throw the golf on so we can watch whichever golfer might be on the nuke, which is just the 6-pick ticket.
Yeah, very cool. All right, I'm going to be looking for this.
And that's in the Discord for others to tail?
Yeah, Golden Pants Discord.
That's in the Discord. Yeah, I do like an ad. That's the only slip I do an ad everybody for. So it's like,
yeah,
it's a fun one. Yeah.
And you know what's kind of slick about Prize Picks? Like you can just put a link in there, right?
Definitely.
And so like you just click on the link and it puts your bet in.
Oh,
exactly.
So you don't have to go around and like look for all these like Russian hockey players or whatever. It's like it's just there.
Okay. Well,
so we post a link, and when I said earlier about the time thing, there's other Discords that are paid that give links to slips. So it's like really like from sharp people. So I'm talking DataWise, Prop Geek, Zeek, SWT, Juice Bets. These are all good Discords that cost like between 20 and 40 a month, run by people who actually know what they're doing, and they just give you slips that you click and tail, and like it's a good value, especially on a time. It might be the best value in betting. And this is like coming from someone who doesn't have a paid Discord, like free Discord. I'm saying maybe you guys should also try these.
Yeah, I mean,
these Discords.
buddy, we got to talk about your sales approach here, GP.
Hey, you have trouble just getting the tacos in alone.
Look, I came into this interview wanting to tout you for the Risk Takers podcast, and we're going to end this interview with me telling you your Discord is great. I'm going to join it, and I can't wait to take part in the nuke parties with you.
We'll see you in there.
Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, GP. We look forward to more of your content. Can't wait to catch more of your episodes of the Risk Takers podcast. Folks, you can get that anywhere you get podcasts, and check out his Discord as well, which we all just, or at least I learned about today. So thanks for joining us, GP. Hopefully we stay in touch as we move forward.
Yeah, of course. Like I enjoy your podcast. I listen to the one with my guy, the DGen or the DGen, and it's a great time. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it. Best of luck on the 25 to 100K challenge. I'd love to
Thank you.
get the update on that, and yeah, let's stay in touch.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you so much.